today we have to see, don't save anything, perfect. Today we will see one thing only, let's say, that is a compound object, but in the meantime, let me wait. Perfect. Okay, so let me wait a few of you. Three viewers, awesome. If you have in the meantime questions about previous homework even, I mean, feel free to ask. Okay. Perfect. Okay, how we're going to submit homework. For now, forget them, because I need to find a better way that is for sure not by email. If you send me email, I will start losing the track of all of your files. So I will start, having files here, files there. So for now, you don't have to send me anything. I'm working in order to find a way to let you upload homeworks somewhere. Just need to find a way that is interesting, a way that works. So for now, don't submit anything, but most important is don't send me homeworks by mail, because I will lose them, and I can't keep the track of homeworks by mail. Okay? Also this week you are not going to have homeworks. I will give you this week without, but I will give you a better homework next week, because I want to explain something a little bit more complex. But for now, no homework and no email. This is crucial. Okay? Also remember, in the live streaming there is a delay. So when you write something and then I answer, in general there is from 10 to 15 seconds of delay. So if sometimes I look like I'm stuck, I'm not. I'm just waiting for the video to be listened, and then I will answer the question. Any other question? No? Perfect. So we can start by showing. We can start showing what is main subject for today. That is, I want to show you one extremely interesting, complex compound object that is called ProBoolean. ProBoolean is, first of all, is not first compound object that we have seen. We have already seen something like loft, that is a compound object. But which is main difference? Main difference is that ProBoolean is a compound object that works only if you select solid objects. It allows you to make operations between solids, and we will study three main operations that you can do with ProBoolean. There are: you can do subtraction between solids, you can do intersection between solids, and you can do also union between solids. What it means? Look, let me quickly draw something just to let you understand concepts that we are going to see. There are these. Okay, let me make it thicker. So imagine this. Imagine we have a box, and imagine we have a sphere. Making operation between solids, and first operation that we will see will be subtraction, so will be minus. What it means? It means this. If we select box minus the sphere, in ProBoolean we will create a solid shape that at the end will look like this. That would be the box volume minus sphere volume. So what remains will be this. We can also do the opposite. We can select the sphere first and make sphere minus the box. In that case, what will remain will be something like that. That is volume of the sphere, where we will subtract, so we will remove this part. In the ProBoolean, this is main operations, the one that is used the most, and we will see also that is not the only one, because we can also do intersection. That means this. If we have our box, and again we make our sphere, what intersection does is it simply keeps only that volume that is in common in between our objects, and it will remove that volume that is independent. So by making intersection between these two objects, I will obtain this result. And this is intersection. Last but not least, in ProBoolean there is an operation that is called union. And what union means is simply that my solid objects will be combined together like one unique object. So if I start from here, and if I have these, whoa, what a terrible drawing. So, wait a second. Hello, Marcos. Some of us filming just started. Can you please tell what you're working on? And we are explaining. First of all, you are late, so there is not my fault. Some are still waiting. And why? I mean, I started streaming a while ago. But what we're viewing today will be, we will see ProBoolean. That is a way to combine solid together. Then I was saying these. We can make operations, and we've seen subtraction, and there is an operation that is called union that basically combines objects together. Wait. No, we have been sitting in front of the computer for 30 minutes. Just showed up. Come on, I don't believe you at all. You know also why? Because while I'm doing the stream, I also have another screen. Nah, he didn't show the link. Nah, come on, I don't trust you. Look. And the reason why I don't trust you, let's see if we can make these in real time, is that because I have two monitors. One that shows the actual lesson, and what just shows the stream, so I know when I am online and when I'm not. Let's see if I'm back to the right setting. Perfect, beautiful. Anyway, we haven't started yet. I was just doing an introduction. We have to see ProBoolean. So let's start with 3ds Max now. That is this. First of all, ProBoolean is a compound object. So we will find it into compound objects menu. And in order to use a compound object, as we have seen, wait a second, Art11 showed back in 5 minutes. It is not possible. I have never used back in 5 minutes, never ever. And probably you were just watching wrong YouTube channel, probably another room, because it's not possible that it's written back in 5 minutes. Probably this morning at 9 it was written live in 5 minutes, but this morning at 9, not at 11, absolutely not. Take care. Anyway, let's see what we have to do today. That is, ProBoolean works like this. I have to create two, at least, solid objects. And I will start by making very simple examples that are by using solid objects. The more we go on, the more I will show you that the only important thing that we need to manage when we do ProBoolean is that we need to at least be sure that we use only precise solid objects, not objects that are hollow inside, but we are not also limited in using 3D objects like boxes, spheres, torus. No matter how we create our solid objects, we can create it with standard primitives, we can extrude closed shapes, we can use lathe, loft. If it is a solid, it will work with ProBoolean. So let's start with easy examples. Like, if I select these two objects, if I create these two objects, what I have to do is I need to set, which for me is object number 1, and by doing this I will simply select it. With one selected object, I will go to the compound object menu. So I go to create, geometries, then I click the menu where I find in general standard primitives, and then I click compound objects. If I have only one solid selected, I will see that here there is a button that is called ProBoolean. Take care, it is ProBoolean. Forget about this one. I click ProBoolean, and inside ProBoolean I need to have to use a few starting options that are. By scrolling a little bit my menu, I need to see this. First of all, in here is where I find these 3 main operations. I have union, intersection, or subtraction. Subtraction is by default selected whenever you start using 3ds Max, and I will use subtraction at the beginning. When I want now to tell 3ds Max which solid I want to subtract, I click Start Picking, and then I pick the sphere. Poof! When I click onto the sphere, what happens is that I've made my first subtraction. And if I change my point of view, I will notice that I have really removed the volume of the sphere by the volume of the box. And this is subtraction. Subtraction can be done not only in between 2 elements, but if I create more starting element, I will be able to select my starting object and start removing more elements. Why you have to know this? You have to know this because if you correctly look at the ProBoolean menu, you will see that the button that is called Start Picking is still highlighted in blue. It is active because technically you can select a lot more objects. And in order to make examples about this particular feature, I will show you that you can simply create more objects at the beginning, and then let's see what happens. Look. For example, I will make a weird random example first. Then, by using this option, that is, we can subtract more than one element, I will show you more realistic examples. But let's start from something that is just random. That is, I make a box, I make more elements, but they are all 3-dimensional elements, stuff like these. It's okay. So I select that for me this is object number 1, and I want to remove all other solids from this particular one. So what I do is I select this box only, then I click compound objects, then I click ProBoolean, scroll down the menu a little bit, I check that the option that is happening is correctly set as subtraction, and then I click Start Picking. Now, one by one, I will click on those solids that I want to remove from the box. So I pick this sphere, I pick this one, then I pick this, and then I keep picking, and then these, and I am basically sculpting my box by removing those shapes that I have created. I will make other examples, but most important is that when I am done, I need simply to remember that I have to close the button that is called Start Picking. If not, 3ds Max will be always in the picking elements. And I can't even select them all in one time. I have to pick because more or less at the end of this lesson, I will show you a very complex example, but 3ds Max keeps tracks of the list of objects that we select, and it also keeps the track of the order that we have used in selecting them. That is extremely important. But let's make a few more examples. That would be this. Example number 1 will be, look, I will make a box. What happens is one of the surfaces is hollow, it simply doesn't work. It simply doesn't work. It won't correctly make the operation. And we can try, but look, if I make a box that is correct, and by mistake I have these, look, so if I extrude a shape like so, so this is something that is wrong, that is hollow, and this is hollow because some of my vertices and edges are overlapping each other. If I select the box and I go to compound, raw boolean, subtraction, start picking, and I pick these, this is what happens. It is just wrong. Okay? Let me check 1 second. Exactly. No, because for a second connection was lost. So this is what happens. Just wrong. It doesn't work. So they must be always solid objects, and they must be correctly solid objects, correctly done. So what I was saying is this. Let's see this first simple example. That is, I make a box, then I will do a very basic operation. That is, I use this box, I use rotate, and I make a clone of this object, that is by doing shift and rotate it 90 degrees. And till here, let me tell you, nothing complex, nothing that interesting. What I will do instead now is, I make now another box, and I will place this box so that it is a little bit narrower than my other boxes, but it will be a little bit taller than two boxes that I have created before. Video is blur. Video is blur. Mine is not. Video is blur. If the video is blurred, it is something that you need to adjust by going, how can I explain this? Look, let's see. First of all, exactly, reopen the link. Or just do this. Look at YouTube. Can you see in your YouTube viewer there is this symbol that is the gear, and then there is quality. From the quality, just put highest available quality. You should find it like these. This is settings, and adjust the quality. Or simply refresh the page by pressing F5. Okay. Everything is fine? Yes. Perfect. So, I was saying, you're welcome. So, see this. Let's go back to our example. That is, I select this box that I have made, and as you can see, there are two boxes passing through. So I select my bigger one, I go to compound, pro-boolean, subtraction, click start picking, and I pick this and that. Poof! And I have made a quick table by removing those two boxes from my centerpiece. And this is example number one. Let me show you example number two, just to show you also that you can make more than one subtraction. Look, I will make this box and I will move it a little bit up. But then I will shift and move these up, and I will make, let's say, 3 clones. Last but not least, I make another box. That will be a little bit larger, but it will be, oops, not down here. It has to go up. So it will be like this. Exactly. And I will move it so that I can see these boxes, and I will adjust it. I will make it narrower. Perfect. So what I have now is, I have this box, I have these 4 boxes that are not this time passing all the way through. So what I do is, I select bigger box, I go to create geometry, compound, pro-boolean, start picking, because I'm using subtraction, and I will subtract 1, 2, 3, 4. I close start picking, and I have made a beautiful bookshelf inside my project. But to show you one more example, I want to show you that you are not limited in using only solid objects like boxes, spheres, and so on. Whatever is a closed solid. So look, I will now make line, and I will be sure that when I close it, this is not only a closed shape, but I have no self-intersecting edges. I mean, everything correctly works. And I will try by selecting this shape, and I will extrude it. So let's see, I click extrude, and this works. You can see that the top of my shape is capped, so the solid is a correct solid. I will just make it taller to look like a realistic wall. Okay? And then, because I don't want just to use a box, that would be too easy, I will do this. Look. I click another line, and I will draw this particular shape. That is line, 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 line. And then I click line. Then I make it angled. Then I move my mouse here, then there. I mean, it's not super symmetrical, but it's good enough. What I will do with this line, I will, of course, select extrude, so that I turn these into a solid. But I won't extrude it as much as I have extruded the wall. So I will select the amount and I will make it less. Then I move this object so that it goes through the wall, and I will also move it up a little bit. What I do now is very simple. That is, I select that the object that I want to keep in my scene is the wall, so I will select this as object number 1. Then I go to create, geometry, compound, ProBoolean. I check that my operation is subtraction. I click start picking, and I pick the solid, that weird solid that I've created before, this one. Poof! And this is how that solid will cut my phenomenal wall. And you have seen that in this way I have made a window, a realistic window that is not just a square hole passing through the wall, but I also have these small parts of the wall that are slightly angled, and this part is flat, and I have perfectly created the hole for my window. Okay, so that we can see that we can really make a complex combination of surfaces, solid, in order to use ProBoolean. But believe it or not, we are only using subtraction. That is one of the 3 operations that I want to show you. I want to show you also intersections, and I want to show you union. So let's see these other examples. So let's delete this masterpiece, and let's see intersection. What is intersection? Let me create this. I make a box, and let's create something different than before. Let's make a, I don't know, a cone. So I make this cone here, and you may notice that the box and the cone have a certain volume in common. So there is, you can notice that the box goes inside the cone, so the cone goes inside the box. What it means intersection? Intersection works like this. You select again one object only. You go to create, compound, ProBoolean, and before clicking start picking, take care because this is crucial. If we need to change our operation must be changed when start picking button is gray. So I will first click intersection, and then I click the button that is called start picking. With this now, if I click my cone, intersection will do this. 1, 2, 3, boom! This is an intersection. That is basically an operation that is extremely different than subtraction, because instead of removing volume from one object, it keeps only the volume that at the same time was in common between two elements. This operation here has, is not that used, is not that common in general, but it is crucial in certain situations. I will show you examples, but main reason why you should use intersection is if you need to create pieces that you want to join together. Because, see this example, that would be fantastic. This would be too cool to be true. But look, if I make this operation here, look, I start by creating solid objects, and I place my solid objects so that I'm going to make a subtraction. Take care. Before using ProBoolean in between these two boxes, look what I do. I select both boxes and I use Shift and Move to make a copy of my selection. Okay? So, and also I've made copies so that I can work with them independently without having any issue. So look what I have now. I have these two perfectly similar sets of boxes. Look what I do now, because this would be shocking. I select one of them, I go to Create, Compound, ProBoolean, and for example, I keep these as intersection. I click Start Picking and I pick this box. This weird thing that remains, believe it or not, is the volume that at the same time is inside my taller box and inside the angled one. What I will do here, in my second set of solids, what I do is I select the box, I go to compound, pro boolean, and before clicking start picking, I make a subtraction. I click now start picking and I pick this. So I create, and then I close it, I create the hole inside the box. So what is the link between subtraction and intersection? The link is that in this way, by using two twin sets of objects, one with intersection, one with subtraction, believe it or not, I have made a piece, that is this one, this fragment, let's say, believe it or not, this will perfectly match this hole like this. It matches so well that it becomes even hard to be seen. I mean, don't mind it, but even if I haven't explained it, I just changed the color just to see it better. But look, now we have this piece that matches this gap. Fantastic. Let me show you now union. There is last operation that you need to know. Union is something that is pretty similar to group, but union as pro boolean is a geometric operation. Why I said the word group? I said this because it is very important, and what you have to know is that pro boolean works with solid objects. It doesn't work with anything else, and a group for 3ds Max is another object. So if you have a group of elements, pro boolean won't work with them. So look, if you, let's say you have these cylinders, and you select your cylinders, but you group them before, if you make pro boolean, like you select these, you make a pro boolean, you make subtraction, start picking, and you select these, they will work in when you subtract them, and this is working only because it was a group of 3 solids, but it won't work if you select the group before and then you want to cut something from the group, unfortunately. So sometimes we need to pay attention. For this reason, inside pro boolean instead, there is another operation that is called union. So if we want to do the opposite, that is, imagine we want to have those 3 cylinders, and we want, let's say make a line like this. Exactly. And I extrude this line. What is extrude? Here. Perfect. If I want to keep my cylinders, but I want to cut them so that inside they will have these angled missing parts, what I have to do is I have to do union before. That works like this. Again, I select one object, and look also when I make union what happens inside my Scene Explorer. I make, by selecting one object, I go to compound, ProBoolean, I change the operation before. So first I click union, then I click start picking, and I make a union between this cylinder, and this one. In this way, they are attached together, so they become one object, not like a group. Making a union, believe me or not, is, do you remember in editable splines we've seen attach? Exactly. This is like attaching splines and not grouping them together. So now they have become one solid only. And you can also notice that from my menu, my two additional cylinders are gone because they have been fused together with first selection. But now, if I want to make a subtraction, I simply close start picking. Because if I want to make subtraction, I need to change the operation. So I close start picking. I change operation to subtraction. And then I click start picking again and I pick the box or whatever it is, and boom! Because I have joined first these cylinders and then I have removed that shape, my shape is removed from all those three cylinders together. Okay? Does it work? Perfect. Also again, if look like I'm stuck, it's because there is delay when you see the video. Lovely, thanks for your yes. Okay. So let's move on and let's see this. I want to show you that inside the same ProBoolean you can combine more than one operation. And also the way you can do it is that you are not forced into creating all of your solid objects from the beginning. So if you want, you can make a few objects, then ProBoolean, then create other objects, then ProBoolean, and so on and so on. And this happens simply by selecting your ProBoolean object and by going into the Modify tab after your ProBoolean has been created. And first, I will show you one object that is, just a random selection of objects. But by using same exact technique, I will show you that you can create more realistic objects by combining more than one operation. So let me show you this thing. Example number one, the one that is random. Look, I can start by making this box, maybe. Then I will make a bunch of other boxes. Perfect. Then I make cylinders, one here, one there, one here, and I will rotate these so that they intersect all my boxes. Like these, like that. I mean, this I don't like. And then this one. Okay. So what I have to do now is this. I want to make join first. Then I will make subtract. But then I will do another shape, and then I will do intersection. So, look here. I select one starting box. I go to create, compound, ProBoolean. Then I click start picking. Sorry. Then I check that I want to make union first. This is extremely important. Then I click start picking and I pick these, then these, then these, and that. So all my boxes have been joined together and now they act like one solid only. But now, see this, how can I change my operation? In order to change the operation to subtraction and to be effectively working, what I have to do is, I have to turn off start picking. This is extremely important. Then I click subtraction. And then I click start picking again. With my subtraction and my start picking button selected, I will pick these cylinders. And because I have already joined all my boxes before, by removing those cylinders, I remove cylinders from all of my joined boxes. What I want to do now? Now I want to do an intersection, but there is nothing that I can intersect right now, so I have to add one more shape. So I will create whatever shape. Let me just make a sphere. Yes, like these. And I will move the sphere up. I will scale it a little bit also. Okay? And what I will do now will be this. Look, I select what is already a ProBoolean because this object has been already created with ProBoolean. So I select it. I go into the Modify tab. I go into the Modify tab and I can see that this is still a ProBoolean. So now the only thing that I do is I change the operation to intersection. I click start picking and I pick the sphere. So what remains will be, it will remain only the volume that at the same time is inside the sphere and inside my ProBoolean. So it will remain this. Fantastic, isn't it? Now, let me see if I can show you a realistic piece of furniture, there is actually something that you can easily model with this technique. I just need to remember the name of this object. Give me 3 seconds. Exactly this one. So look at this picture here. This is a bookshelf that was made by Joy Colombo, who was a very famous Italian designer on the 60s. But you can notice that this bookshelf, we can see also another image here, and there are plenty versions. What this bookshelf does is that there are these flat pieces that are connected together, but they are cut in a certain way that what remains is a small part of a sphere object. Okay? You can find also this version that is also the back. So how to make these kind of objects in 3ds Max? Let me tell you in a few seconds. It is this. Look. What you have to do is only you make one starting box. Then you shift and move it. We can make several instances. And we create, they are too thin, in my opinion. Exactly. Let's make them thicker. You make several instances. Then you select them all. You click rotate, and what you have to do is you shift and rotate them together 90 degrees. So I'm also using angle snap. You left click, but you are also pressing shift, so you shift and rotate, and you make these duplicates. Okay? Check this, because this would be unbelievable. What you have to do now is you have to first, using all those boxes, and you have to use union. So I select one of them, and just because I'm picky, I select center one. I click compound, ProBoolean, union, and you have to change the operation before clicking start picking. Now I click it, and I will pick all other boxes. And then I close start picking. In this way, what I obtain is that this acts like one solid object. And you can also notice that even in my Project Explorer here, all other boxes are gone because they have been fused together in this single object. I have almost done. What I will do is I make a sphere. But I want to be at least a little bit more precise. I would like to place the sphere into the center of this box. And you may notice that by selecting center box as starting object, the pivot of my ProBoolean is also into the center. So I use snap to the pivot and snap to the pivot only, and I move the the sphere from its pivot to the pivot of the box, of this object. Okay? Ready for this? Look, I change the radius of the sphere, but I also, without any snap, I just move the sphere down so that it is still into the center, but has been moved below on its vertical axis, and maybe I can make it bigger, exactly like that. Ready for this? If I use now the Pro Boolean, but this time I use intersection, so I go to the Modify tab, I change first operation to intersection, I click Start Picking, and I pick the sphere, and what remains will be this. Ready, steady, go. Boom! Fantastic. Look at that. Unbelievable, isn't it? I know. And by using very simple steps, you have created that particular shape that we were trying to do. There is this bookshelf here. Okay? If we add also a box behind, that will be like a circular shape. Or we can add it as a cylinder, that would be exactly the same. By combining shapes, I want to make last example that is again even more complex than this, but it shows you that in 3ds Max we are not limited in making boxes, spheres, cones and stuff like this. We can really create extremely complex objects, and we are just scratching the surface. So again, let me see if I find something that I can use as a reference. I need a picture. Let me see. Ooh, this one. Exactly. I want to show you, this is even better. I want to show you this picture. This one. This is a vault. There is a way to create ceilings that you can find in very, very old classical buildings. And what is interesting is that inside the construction of a vault, there is a lot of geometry involved. And what is also interesting is that by using same exact shapes, if you simply mix the selection of these objects into the wrong way, you will obtain something completely different. So, how to create this into 3ds Max? Look, this would be, I mean, just beautiful. It would be unbelievable. Look, look, look. To start, we need to select a cylinder. So, I make one starting cylinder. And I will also have to make a second one. What I need to do is that these two cylinders must share same center. So I need to align one cylinder to the other, and I need to be sure that they are aligned by having same pivot. So to make these, I have to use snap to the pivot. I left click to the snap, I right click on it, and I check that I'm using only snap to the pivot, not anything else. Then I move cylinder number 2 from its pivot into cylinder number 1. Oops, sorry. Like this. In this way, my two cylinders are perfectly aligned. They are concentric, to be more precise. And what I will do next is I will turn off the snap, and I will simply move this cylinder a little bit up, like this. Not done yet. What I have to do is I have to select both elements, and I will rotate these two elements together. I rotate them so that they will be horizontal. So I rotate them 90 degrees. And again, till here, nothing that is out of this planet. But what I will do now is I will select again both cylinders, and I shift and rotate 90 degrees, so that in this way I obtain the shape of 4 crossing cylinders. Okay? Believe it or not, we have almost done. We need to fix a couple of things that are. I have now to use ProBoolean, and I will start by selecting this cylinder. That is one of the two outer cylinders. What I will do is I will simply click compound, ProBoolean. I check the operation that must be union first. So I click start picking, and I join this outer cylinder with this second outer cylinder, like this. Okay? Then I have to click start picking because I have to close it. And this is why. Because now I need to make subtraction. So I close start picking, I click subtraction, I click again start picking, so that I subtract this longer cylinder and this longer cylinder. And what I get right now will be this. Will be basically like a pipe that is cut inside. Okay? Till here. Wait, because remember, this is where we are, but we need to go here. Where is the picture? This picture. We need to make this happening. So, what is this? This is just a small part of that. Now, Michelle, it is possible this to make tubes. If you make tubes, and I will show you after this example, believe it or not, you must follow a completely different path. Because if you make tube at the beginning, what happens? if you make these as tubes, when you remove one of these cylinders, it happens that it won't cut all the way through the two tubes together. So you can use tubes, but I will show you just by following a completely different path. So just stay with me one second. But look, last step that I have to do here is I need to make a box. I need to make a box, and I need to place this box where I want the vault to be. So let's say I will move it here. Okay? I can then, if I want, make the box smaller or bigger, doesn't matter. But to finish these, I will select my ProBoolean, change the operation to intersection, and then start pick the box, and this is the part of my cross-shaped thing that will remain. Poof! This is one way to make cross vaults by using union, subtraction, intersection. One of your classmates asked if it is possible to do this with tubes, and the answer is yes, but believe it or not, we must follow a completely different path in order to make this happening. It is basically something that involves making a tube, making a box, but a very specific box, and see this. Look, we can make a tube, then I will make the tube horizontal, so I rotate it 90 degrees. Now what we have to do is this. We need to make a box, but this box can't be just a random box. This box must be a cube, so it has to be that length, let's say 120, and width must be exactly the same. Height is not mandatory, but it's just better. And then check this, because this would be phenomenal. We must rotate our cube exactly 45 degrees, not less, not more. It has to be 45. And then, again, because if not, life would be too easy, we need to move this box so that this box perfectly has its center matching the pivot of the tube. So I need to right click, selecting pivot and vertex, because I want to move this box from this vertex to the pivot point of the tube. So this is our starting configuration. Okay? And I mean, it was not that easy. Once that we are here, we need to make a very simple operation. That is, we need to do one starting pro Boolean that is intersection. But before doing this, no, let me make the tube little bit smaller. Exactly, like this. Perfect. And maybe I want to make it rounded because it has not enough. So it's just prettier. Okay? So what I have to do is this. I select the tube. Operation number one is I have to make compound, pro Boolean, intersection, start picking, and pick the box. And what remains is this part of the tube. I need to use only, let me highlight it, I need to use only this part of my tube, and I need to cut this one. So what I will do is I make another box, and I will select these pro Boolean, go to modify tab, change the operation to subtraction, click start picking, and pick this. Fantastic. We have almost done. We can see that we are lucky enough that the pivot point matches this position of the tube. If not, let's move it. We will move the pivot here. And this is crucial because now, in order to make my cross vault, I have to select, rotate, shift, and rotate these 90 degrees. And I make 3 duplicates. I haven't done yet. Now I click start picking, union, start picking, and I combine, start picking. I've made instances. No, what a shame. Sorry. I make shift and rotate 90 degrees, but I make copies because if not I can't join them, and then I make union, start picking, and I pick them so that now they are one solid object. And as you can see, at the end, starting from a completely different point of view, that is, instead of cylinders I was using tube, at the end, no matter what, I have used union, subtraction, intersection. So I use all available 3 operations together to make this complex object. And let me finish with one last example for pro Boolean. Then, as I said at the beginning, for today you have no homework, so that next week I will give you a slightly more interesting, read between the lines, complex homework. So let me show you last thing. There is this. You may notice that when I use pro Boolean, I immediately know where things should be placed. But sometimes this is not the case. Sometimes you put 2 elements inside a pro Boolean operation, and then you realize that the position of one of the objects is completely wrong. So what you have to do? What you can do is, believe it or not, even if objects have been combined into a ProBoolean, you can change their properties, like you can move them, you can scale them, and so on and so on. So what you can do is this. Look, let's make it simple first. But if I select the box and I go to compound, ProBoolean, and I easily make a subtraction, and then I click start picking and I pick the sphere, you will see that the sphere is gone. And what I see is simply, I can see only the trace left from my sphere because it is carving my box. But remember, box was selection number 1 and sphere was my second selection. See this. If I go to the Modify tab and I have my ProBoolean object selected, you can see that next to ProBoolean, look, can you see this button here? There is a small triangle next to the ProBoolean word. And what you should do is you should click it, and by clicking it, you will discover that there is something called operands down here. What are operands? Operands are basically the box and the sphere. So if I click operands and then I scroll down till the end my ProBoolean menu, I will see that I can read the word box as a first element in this list, and sphere, that is my second element in this list. And this is also the order that I have selected them. First was the box, then I click the sphere. But what is more important is that when you select the sphere or the box, you can also notice that the pivot changes its position, and is not changing randomly, because if I click the box, I see the pivot of my original box, as well as if I select the sphere, I see that the pivot goes where the pivot of the sphere is. And now you will see that if I click move and I have selected my sphere, I won't move the entire ProBoolean, but I will move the sphere only. And because my sphere is set as subtraction, no matter where I move the sphere will be subtracted from the box. Okay, so if you are not sure if the placement of your objects is correctly from the beginning, this is not a limit in using ProBoolean, because this can be adjusted as many times that you want. Okay? I can scale the sphere, I can move it, I can also move it away. And if my sphere doesn't touch the box will look like it is not cut. But then I will move the sphere and I will see the trace left by the sphere when it is subtracted by the box. Can you also duplicate if you shift and move? Of course, yes. Because again, whenever you can move, you can also shift and move. So you can also select with control. You can select two elements now, and you can have these as final editing. Yes, yes, yes. So let me show you last example for today that involves editing elements after being inside a ProBoolean, and I mean, this will just shock you because this will be too cool to be true. So look here. First of all, I will create this shape. I make line. Can you please repeat this? Yes, I am repeating this, but by showing another example, because if not, it would be too boring. So look, I make one line, then I copy it, and into my copy I use spline, and I use, where is it? Outline. Perfect. Then I make another line, then I make another line. Fantastic. Perfect. I mean, it's not that perfect, but it is fine. No, I don't like it. I want this to be here. Exactly. Then I make another line. And I will do it like this. Okay. So now look at all these elements, and now I make even a box. So I have a lot of things here, and what I will do is this. I will start by extruding all these shapes. So I will extrude these very with a very small extrude amount, like these. Then I select this one and I extrude it again. Then I select this one and I extrude it, and you can see that all, and then I extrude this one as well. And you can see that all these shapes are correctly created solid objects. At the very beginning, they make not that much sense, but they will be unbelievable in a second. Because look, I will move this piece up here. I will rotate these to be vertical. I will rotate these to be vertical as well. I need simply to place them in a more precise way. So I will use snap to the vertex so that these will go here. No, it's this one. Exactly. And then I will move this, all of these things up. I will move this piece here. Perfect. And because I've made all these pieces as separate elements, I can keep extruding these. I can keep extruding that. And I can also make shift and move, and I can make a duplicate of this. So believe it or not, I've made a small house just by extruding certain elements. This I just move it to the center because it's better. But now, see this. If I join with ProBoolean all these elements, I will get a house that at the end will have no doors, no windows. So let's start doing this. Look. So I select my box, click compound, ProBoolean. I make union, and I use star picking to join all these solid objects together. I can see no additional objects on the left of my screen, so it means that I've joined all possible elements, and I close star picking. So now I create at least another box in here, but I also create a very long box here, maybe not that tall. Exactly. I move these up, and I shift and move a copy up as well. So now I select my ProBoolean, I go to the Modify tab, but now I first change my operation to subtraction, start picking, and I pick these, and that, and I have opened basically, and I have opened my windows and my doors into the house that I have created before. Okay? But now let's see a couple of problems, because if you pay attention, you may notice that because my box, this was the exterior, but my house already had an extruded floor, I can see now that the position of the door is slightly wrong. And as I said at the beginning, I can't be sure that all my objects are correctly placed from the beginning when I use ProBoolean. So look what I have to do. I need to go to the Modify tab, and I need to move afterwards elements inside my ProBoolean. And I will do this. Next to ProBoolean, I click this arrow, I select operands, and I scroll my menu so that I see all objects that I have used in order to create my house. So I can see that I've started from a box that has been joined with an extruded line, another extruded line, joined, and next to each of these objects I can read union. So when I have selected that I have opened doors and windows, when I have clicked subtraction, but if I click this subtraction, I can see that the pivot goes up here. So this is the box that I have used to cut these windows. And maybe I can select it because maybe I want to move it up. Or, like your classmate said, I can move this here, but I can also shift and move it to make a duplicate of this box. But maybe I can also rotate it 90 degrees so that, and then I move it, so that I will make windows in this other wall. Then I select the previous and I move it here. If I select this instead is the box that I've used to cut windows of my ground floor. So I will just move them a little bit up. And the last box, called box number 2, that has the pivot in here, oops, shows me that this is the one that I've used for the door. So I will just move it up. And maybe I can move it a little bit away so that in one operation only I create the door and a step that allows me to enter inside the house. So by clicking operands and by selecting them from the ProBoolean menu, I am able to modify. For example, I can scale it down or scale it up. So I can still modify objects that have been placed inside a ProBoolean compound object. Okay? But why this would be so unbelievably useful if, and sorry, I can see that here this window is too tall. So let me move it. Exactly. Why this is extremely useful, especially in this situation that I've made a house, simply because look at this weird box that I will add now. I will create at the end of the entire modeling path, I make a super big box that is larger, taller, and longer than the entire 3D model of my house. What I will do is I start by placing this box in a position that is not even touching the entire house. Okay? So, wait a second. I had an issue with loft in lat homework. Can you please help? How? So, let me finish this first. So, look. I select the house. I go to my ProBoolean. I select subtraction. And then I click start picking. And I pick this box. If you notice, because the box wasn't touching the house, box looks like it is gone. But now, check this. I open ProBoolean, I click operands, and if I look into my operands, last one that is in order, it is also last big box that I have created. There is a subtraction, but it's not cutting anything because its geometry wasn't cutting my house. But see what happens if now I move this subtracting box to my house. When this box will cut the house, I will have a section. And if I keep moving the box, I will have other section on the opposite side. But if I move the box in front here, I will get this section. Or if I move this box on the opposite side, this section here. Last but not least, if I move the box up and left, I will make the floor plan of my ground floor. And if I keep moving this big box up, I will have also the floor plan of my upper floor. And I can make weird combinations, like I can also see some part of my section, some part of my floor plan, and I can easily create and manipulate exploded views of any object. Okay? So this is it for ProBoolean. If you have one, I would say, quick question, like your classmate said, I had an issue with loft, can you please help? Yes, but if you tell me which issue it is, I can help. So try to explain it, and then I will, in these last few seconds, I will help you. I'm waiting. Waiting. Hi Marco. Yes, Nicole, just in time. For example, Nicole asked how to make the back. The lobes has become black. Black is not showing me. Loft has become black, is not showing me the axis. But that is lathe if you have axis, not loft. Anyway, let's start with the question that is Nicole. The head of the octopus. The head of the octopus was this. You make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you select all of your vertices, you make them you make them smooth, and by moving the pivot in here, you start by using lathe, and this was the beginning part. But then, if you notice, the back of the octopus was like this. Lesson files, Marco. Should be this one. Exactly. This part here that looks so complex, in reality, it is just a sphere that is scaled. And you move it here, and it looks like it is one continuous object, but in reality they are two different options. One is lathe and the other part is just a sphere that is making this, and this is the octopus. Then loft shape has become black and it's not showing me the axis. No, this I don't get. When I made the eyelids, some graphical lines. no, this is the look for Naomi and Yamini. It would be a lot better if you take a screenshot or a picture of the screen with your phone, and then you send me the picture of the error by mail, because in this way I have no idea which kind of issue you may have. Okay? No, here you can show. Okay, you can show the screenshot here. Just send me by mail, and then I will answer by mail. It's okay. It's not a problem. Okay? I mean, the end of the octopus. The octopus has no hands. It has tentacles, and they are like these. And then I have to live. No, too many questions, and it's just the circle. Look, these are tentacles. You make a loft in this way, and then I have to leave because in here there is going to be another lesson. So you make these. There is the path. You use loft. You use get shape, get these, but then into the modify tab you just use scale and you move the end here. By decreasing the scale, the loft becomes point. And while we are here, look, so that we see also the worm head. When we have more points, remember, you can select all of your scaling points. You can right click and making smooth or Bezier corner. I will make them smooth, and in this way, see this, I can move these, I can move that, I can move these, I can move that. But this one, that is the beginning, look, if I zoom in, this one at the beginning, if you have made it smooth, is also the handle. So you move the handle like this, boom, magically the head of the worm becomes also round. This was how to make the head round. That's it. Okay? Now I have to escape because another teacher is at the door. So I have to say bye to everyone. And if you have screenshots, send me by mail. If not, we'll see next week. Bye.